And now, for our keynote speaker, I have admired her for years. I think when we all started attending tea parties and going to conferences, we were all amazed by her words. She knows what needs to be done to make a difference and win. And she's been instrumental on this for years. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our keynote speaker, host of the Joyce Kaufman Show on 8:50 a.m., our favorite independent, Ms. Joyce Kaufman.
After looking at all these long speeches that everybody had and presentations, like, I scribbled a few notes on the back of this paper while I was listening to other people talk. On behalf of Joe Kaufman and his wife Emily, we welcome you here to the kickoff for a campaign that is designated to go down in history. Now that could happen for a number of reasons. It could be the greatest campaign ever. It could be the campaign that has the most problems. There's a lot of reasons. But everybody here tonight will have a hand in determining which one of those ends up being the scenario. There's a couple of things that I want to say. I'm here for one reason, and anybody who's ever seen me at a political gathering before knows that reason. I do the ask. I'm not ashamed to do the ask. This doesn't happen because you want it to happen. This doesn't happen because Joe's a really nice guy. This doesn't happen because Joe and Emily are willing to come to this office and work hard. This doesn't happen unless you start working hard. And that's across the board. Every time there's a candidate who steps up to the plate, they can't be up there all by themselves. There has to be a network of people supporting them. Some characters have bigger than life personas before they get to that moment of truth. Some characters work slowly behind the scenes to affect change over and over again. I'm here today because I buck the trend all the time. I always pick the person based on their principle, not on their electability, not on who else supports them, not on whether it makes me look good, not on whether I win, or they win or lose. I pick people who believe the same things that I believe. I pick people who are willing to do something for this country. I pick people who sacrifice. And I've stood around a lot of street corners with Joe Kaufman, and I know the sacrifice. Not everybody in this room has been sued and had to stand up to that kind of onslaught, the personal attacks, the financial problems. It's not easy. There's a couple of us in this room who've had that experience, and I gotta tell you. The other side has a lot of money. The other side has the attention of the mainstream media. The other side is very good at getting their message out and have infiltrated the highest levels of government. So for people to stand, for people like Joe Kaufman, for people like Tom Trento, to stand in the face of these evildoers, if I can quote George Bush, means a lot to me. I'm here because I believe in Judeo-Christian values, and I believe that this republic is supposed to have people in Washington who represent the communities from whence they came. I don't know about the rest of you, but I can't think of anything I have in common with Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Thanks to Brazilian keratin, that is. So what are you willing to give up? You don't win battles and you don't gain ground playing defensive. I tell people this all the time. You got to get on the offense, and you got to start making the case for why you think Joe Kaufman would represent this community. And you're going to have to think beyond all the things we've already done together. All the marches and rallies for Israel. All of the shut down this group and all of those other things that we've done, because the people in this community need a representative who's going to be able to deal with fiscal matters, going to deal with job creation. They need a representative who's going to be able to stand in spite of unpopular opinions. And they're going to need, that representative needs to know that you have his back. We do our part, and I believe that Hashem, that God does the rest. He'll do all the heavy lifting. He'll move the mountains, but you got to bring the shovels. And that's why I come. I come in not because I feel you guys don't know what needs to be done. I come in because I expect you to start doing it tonight. I come and I make the ask because I'm afraid that if we don't turn things around in the next 2 to 4 years, there won't be anything to turn around. There won't be enough left of this country and its Judeo-Christian values to bother saving. And I have 2 children who got married this last year. And I'm looking forward to becoming a grandmother in the next couple of years. They don't know that, but I'm looking forward to that. And I want to leave this country in better shape to them than it was when it was given to me. And it was in really good shape when it was given to me. It was a thriving middle class. It was a country that was united for democracy, that was united on the Judeo-Christian values that we shared. We weren't afraid to say God in public. We were actually praying in public places. For an athlete to get on his knee and thank God would not have been untoward or looked upon askance in 1950s when I grew up.
That's right.
To think that today I live in a country where I have witnessed myself in my hometown of New York City, thousands of Muslims praying in the direction of Mecca without a word being said, and one young man gets on his knee in a football game, and it's the end of the world. What happened to our country? You got to take it back. It's going to require hard work. You can't just elect somebody, throw them into the pool and say, now you do all the hard work for me. It doesn't work that way. I have a penchant for picking characters and candidates who, when I first bring them to the attention of the public, whether it's through the radio program or a rally or anything else, the establishment always tells me how stupid I am. Gee, you don't really think you're going to get that guy elected in CD 22, do you? Let me tell you something. People of principle will get themselves elected if we just get the word out. America is starving for heroes. I've been telling you this for years. My job is to find heroes. I don't really, to be perfectly honest with you, I don't even care. Once people get elected and go to Washington, I hope they do a good job. But I'll be the first one to tell you when they don't. I'll bark up every tree, Democrat, Republican, Independent, doesn't matter to me. I'll hold their feet to the fire. Because if we work as hard as you're going to have to work to get Joe Kaufman elected, if we work as hard as we work to help get Alan West elected, if we work as hard as we had to work to see some of the great men and women over the course of the last 2 years go to Congress from all over this country, if we do that again, we have a chance. I could leave this country in better shape to my grandchildren than it is today. I could have a restoration of values. I could have a representative who looks and thinks like me. It's about time that you understood what the Founding Fathers meant when they said, we will design it as a republic. This is not a democracy. This is a republic. There's a difference. And what a republic represents is one body that's strictly the people's house. And that's the United States Congress. It's the only body where every 2 years you have to restate your position. And if we were responsible Americans, we wouldn't be talking about term limits in desperation, because we have them. We just don't use them. And one of the reasons we can't use them is because people of principle don't happen to often run for office. People are career politicians, which is why when someone who's retiring after 22 years in the military says they're willing to do a different kind of service, we all go, hoorah. Which is why when someone who's been writing and challenging the establishment for years on everything from radical Islam to the economic woes of this country, like Joe Kaufman, when they stand up and say, we want to go to Washington, I say, well, then it's our job to help you do that. And that means you've got to volunteer. Before you leave this place tonight, you have to make a commitment. I don't care if it's a big commitment. Well, I do. I want it to be a really big commitment. But it has to be a commitment, whether it's 1 hour a week that you can come into the office, whether it's 1 hour that you'll phone bank. You know what your gifts are. Operate in your gift. Michael knows what his gift is. He operates in his gift. Danita and Jack know what their gift is. They operate in their gift. And that makes all the difference in the world. You've got to decide that this is your time too. It's not just Joe's time, it's your time. You want to be a part of a campaign that says to the people of South Florida, in particular the people who hold their head like this every time that woman comes on television. If you want to help them out here, give me a break, guys. You know? There's a desire, there's a longing for people who look like us, who think like us. People who value their families and their friends. There's a true desire for us to see them go to Washington. Go to Tallahassee too, but we'll talk about that at another opening. It's now or never. You know, and I remember saying last time that it was the most important election of my lifetime. And it was, until now. And now this is the most important election of my lifetime. And I pray that on election eve, that I could be standing somewhere in a red dress, jumping 3 feet straight up in the air. Because, you know, there aren't a whole lot of highlights to campaigning. But victory is sweet. So we're going to do this together, or we're certainly going to give it our best effort. I've lost lots of elections over the years, you know. And I've decided myself not to run in this particular election because I know the challenges. I know what it means to put everything else aside and to stand out in front of the rest of the people in your community and say, I'm going to go speak on their behalf. It's a powerful, powerful position. It's not to be taken lightly. And if they know who's standing behind them, they'll stay true to us. Don't ever think that somebody is going to go up to Washington and you should be replaced by advisors or staffers. It doesn't work like that. You are going to Washington every time you get somebody elected that you believe in. They take your voice, they take your ideas, they take your values, and they take your principles to Washington. If you think that Joe Kaufman has your values and your ideals, if you think Joe Kaufman will do a good job in Congress, then it's time for you to make a commitment. If you don't have hours in the day, I don't believe it. If you don't have money to put in an envelope, I don't believe it. I think you have to make a choice. I think these are the times that we have to make a choice. And if you are going to sit back and ask Joe to do this by himself, well then I'm not going to get to jump up and scream in victory. Because Joe's a great guy, and Emily's a great gal. But they can't do this alone. So tonight before you leave, make sure that you tell Felicia, that you tell Joe, that you tell Emily what exactly you're going to do for the Joe Kaufman for Congress campaign. What exactly your strength is. Can you write? Can you blog? Can you track? Can you phone? Can you get money? Can you host a meet and greet? Can you host a fundraiser? Everybody in this room needs to do one or other or all of those things. And when you do that, the magic happens. I've seen it too many times to doubt it. I know that God can raise anybody He wants to any position that He wants. So keep Joe and Emily in your prayers, and before you walk out this door, and by the way, if you do walk out this door without making any kind of commitment at all, don't come back. Thanks.